Today's Democrats should move on from identity politics. It's not working. It's not working for them or for us. Democrats are hemorrhaging the very voters they think they're pandering to. The Financial Times writes, Democrats are going backwards faster with voters of color than any other demographic, and suggests the reason is that a less racially divided America is an America where people vote more based on their beliefs than their identity. Exactly. Far-left liberals are living in an old paradigm. Americans don't fit into neat little boxes anymore.
Bill Maher is raising concerns, calling out the Denk for slipping further away from everyday Americans, saying on Real Time that even with recent Democratic momentum, party leaders are advancing policies that overlook core American principles. And as always, hit subscribe because this story is only beginning.
To your point, I want to get to something very important. How many know what SAM stands for? It's a new phrase. It stands for Speaking with American Men, SAM. This is the new movement by the Democratic Party. They lost the men vote a lot last time, so they had a meeting up at the Ritz-Carlton at Half Moon Bay, south of San Francisco. I'm not making this up, where they served mini lobster rolls and had heirloom tomato carpaccio and seared sea bass in their conclave to decide how to win back the American man. Now, look.
It's because we used to have conferences at Harvard to figure out what the working class needs, and so now we're, we're moving west.
You got to own who you are. I get it. These are the mini lobster roll people.
Recent elections delivered a clear warning. For Democrats, men are pulling away. Quickly, the party experienced a visible decline in male backing, and the causes are right in front of them. Many men feel increasingly labeled as powerless, replaceable, or incapable of standing on their own. That perception has fueled resentment, frustration, and a growing sense of being pushed aside. And they didn't just complain, they showed up to vote. In response, Democratic leaders have started discussions and outreach efforts designed to reconnect with men. The real question is, do they truly understand it? Let's watch closely and find out if they do, because elections aren't just about policy. They're about dignity, identity, and feeling recognized. When that respect is absent, voters make sure their voices are heard.
They had this symposium, and we got a hold of what was this is Speaking with American Men. This is a real thing that they're doing, and they have these seminars. Would you like to hear what was some of the? Okay. These are ways that they want to seminars that they had to try to win back the typical American male, like how to keep your liberal base while putting guns on your Christmas card. That was one that they wanted to. Best protein powder for a clean bulk and other dude conversation starters. Bud Light etiquette, when to drink it, when to shoot it. Fishing, the bizarre hobby working class men enjoy instead of pickleball.
Now, those talking points might sound sharp, but if Democrats believe this is the key to winning men back, they're completely mistaken. Most men aren't sitting around arguing about gun models or which protein shake will turn them into Hercules. Their concerns are serious, urgent, and immediate. They're focused on holding on to their jobs, managing soaring expenses, covering mortgage payments, and keeping their families secure. They value the pride that comes from providing, protecting, and being acknowledged for doing their part. What hurts is being turned into a joke, portrayed as clueless, harmful, or constantly in need of correction. That image doesn't reflect men who are working hard, responsible, and striving to do right by their loved ones. They're not asking for applause. They simply don't want to be mocked. They want their challenges, responsibilities, and yes, their masculinity recognized, not awkwardly brushed aside in public conversation.
The only scene that you're obsessed with in Titanic, hint, it has tits. Bruce Lee versus Bigfoot, mythical fight scenarios to man up your Joe Rogan appearance. Intersectionality and the importance of shutting the fuck up about it. And undouching your face. Man beards from Ted Cruz to J.D. Vance.
You can spot that smirk on Maher's face. One of those expressions that says what? Words can't. It's not just amusement. It's disbelief at how disconnected the deck appears from what men truly deal with every single day. This isn't about macho, posing, growing beards, or showing off. Toughness for attention. It's about stability, direction, and feeling appreciated in a world where many men sense their efforts are brushed aside or unnoticed. Maher understands men aren't chasing stereotypes. They're seeking security, pride, and the it. Now, too many feel unseen. If the Denk hopes to win that trust back, it can't rely on assumptions or hollow gestures. It needs to adjust course, confront real issues, and communicate in a way that truly connects. Otherwise, that smirk could become a serious warning they'll regret overlooking.
And outdated racial pandering is one reason Democrats lose elections. When Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi put on kente cloth, I don't think it earned them one vote for their powerful emotional ties to Ghana. Here in California, we're now segregating kidnapping. Really, California doesn't just have Amber Alerts for missing children. We have Ebony Alerts for black children and Feather Alerts for Native American kids. What is that? We look for them by listening on the ground?
Democrats didn't just lose ground with male voters. They noticed cracks emerging in key racial groups as well, especially Black and Latino communities. The shifts weren't dramatic enough to redraw the electoral map, but they were strong enough to send a definite message. Trump and his allies were gaining traction in areas where Democrats once felt secure, and that triggered real concern. Critics say this points to frustration with messaging that sounds scripted, distant, or disconnected from everyday life. Voters aren't moved by identity politics alone. They're responding to economic pressure, safety concerns, and opportunities to move forward. When messaging feels worn out or symbolic instead of practical, it loses its impact. Politics at its heart is about trust and performance. Even small cracks can signal a deeper dissatisfaction building under the surface, one that can quietly erupt into a far bigger problem if left unaddressed.
Look, even if you like identity politics, this kind of thing is antiquated. From 2010 to 2020, the number of people identifying as multiracial in America went up 276%. 1 in 5 newlyweds now are in an interracial marriage, and that number goes up to 100% in ads for Subaru. You couldn't do a remake of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner today because almost 100% of Americans approve of interracial marriage, especially with rich in-laws. And 95% of white women would leave their husband to marry Idris Elba.
Maher argues that the Denk's dependence on racial pandering is beginning to feel dated and ineffective in today's political environment. Voters are becoming skeptical of messaging that leans on identity alone without producing real, measurable results. The old strategy, targeted pledges, symbolic gestures, and assuming loyalty from certain groups no longer secures votes. Maher points out that the electorate is shifting. Communities aren't voting as single blocks the way strategists once believed. Economic strain, cultural changes, and personal priorities are reshaping choices at the ballot box. People are watching outcomes, not just hearing rhetoric. Predictable demographic trends are losing their influence. For Maher, this signals a broader transformation in American politics. Parties can't count on inherited loyalty anymore. They must earn trust every day with clear policies, straightforward communication, and results that truly connect across diverse, evolving communities nationwide.
Idris Elba, who says, as humans, we are obsessed with race, and that obsession can really hinder people's aspirations. Actress Raven-Symoné agrees. She told Oprah, I'm tired of being labeled. I'm not an African American. I'm an American. She says, I don't know what country in Africa I'm from. My roots are in Louisiana. And you don't have to agree with that. But it's a point of view a lot of people have. It should be respected. Morgan Freeman says the way to finish off racism is stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man, and I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. There's even a movement now to ban racial questions on the census, and many of its leaders are people of color, like Professor Sheena Mason, who says to undo racism, we have to undo our belief in race.
For years, identity politics was a driving force for the left, energizing voters and forming reliable coalitions. It delivered clear narratives, strong emotional appeal, and a sense of belonging. But that strategy is starting to lose momentum. More and more voters are asking, does identity-centered messaging actually make their lives better? People want more than symbolic gestures. They want real outcomes, better economic opportunities, safer neighborhoods, and a future that feels stable. Voters are honing in on results, not just speeches. They're questioning whether promises bring real change or simply boost campaign optics. This rising skepticism points to a larger shift. Loyalty isn't guaranteed anymore. Politicians must demonstrate their value through action, not assumptions. As this mindset spreads, old campaign formulas are losing their impact, and voter trust is tougher to secure than ever.
The liberal group MoveOn.org, formed in 1998 to urge Republicans to move on from the Clinton impeachment. Today's Democrats should move on from identity politics. It's not working. It's not working for them or for us. Democrats are hemorrhaging the very voters they think they're pandering to. The Financial Times writes, Democrats are going backwards faster with voters of color than any other demographic, and suggests the reason is that a less racially divided America is an America where people vote more based on their beliefs than their identity. Exactly. Far-left liberals are living in an old paradigm. Americans don't fit into neat little boxes anymore.
Identity politics could be backfiring for the DNC, costing more votes than it gains as Americans push back against being placed into a single box. More and more voters want to be seen as individuals shaped by their values, experiences, and beliefs, not reduced to categories of race or background. There's a growing resistance to being told how to vote simply because others who resemble them traditionally have. For many, that assumption feels restrictive, even dismissive of their independence and judgment. People want to evaluate policies on their own merits, not through the lens of identity alone. They want persuasion, not presumption. This shift reflects a deeper desire for authenticity in politics, a demand to be respected first as thinkers, decision makers, and citizens. As that mindset spreads, strategies built solely on identity will struggle to carry the influence they once held nationwide.